In today's episode, I meet with Vasco, the Communications Officer for Gorongosa Safaris and Gorongosa National Park, to learn more about the fascinating history of this incredible area. Hi, and welcome to another podcast with Stanley Safaris. Today I'm joined by Vasco, the Communications Director for Gorongosa National Park. I'm sitting here in Gorongosa National Park, so thank you so much. Wasn't yesterday, the day before we met, and you were telling me the story of Gorongosa, and I just found it absolutely fascinating. So tell us a little bit about how Gorongosa came to be Gorongosa National Park. Where did it start?
Thank you. It's a real pleasure to be here with you again. So this place started as a game reserve, a hunting game reserve in 1920, so 106 years ago. By then, Mozambique was a colony of Portugal, and the model to explore the colony by the Portuguese was basically slicing the territory into pieces and give it big chunks of territory to foreign-owned companies. And so this place where we are was owned by a company called Companhia de Mozambique. They had a mandate, a concession to rule the place from 1891 to 1941. Sure. In 1920, the managing director of this company was a hunter and decided that he was not going to do cotton or sugarcane in the area because it was teeming with wildlife. There was so many, lions, elephants, buffalo, rhinos, and so on.
The area had initially been set aside for plantations, agriculture.
All this area was supposed, what we call now the provinces of Sofala and Manica, were supposed to be managed for agriculture and to make money with it. And cotton was the crop that the choice crop. But the managing director said, no. Although I know the land is fertile for cotton, but it's too precious in terms of wildlife. Yeah. So it's a private hunting reserve. In 1935, the Portuguese government decided not to renew the concession, and they forbade the hunting. It became a game reserve to protect wildlife, especially rhinos and nyalas.
And that decision was a selfish decision from the government we don't want other countries handling our territories.
Very much by then the ruler in Portugal was a guy called Salazar. So it's in Europe by then there were four famous guys: Salazar, Franco in Spain, Hitler in Germany, and Mussolini in Italy. And basically Salazar was a ferocious nationalist and said, "I don't want a part of Portugal being ruled by foreigners." So he decided no way. In 1960, it was proclaimed as Gorongosa National Park. Okay. So it was the first national park of what was then the Portuguese Empire. So this is it. This is the first. In 1961, the government of Portugal sent a famous filmmaker in Portugal, to do a documentary about Gorongosa in order to promote it internationally. Yeah. And so, in 1961, a guy called Miguel Spiegel came here with a cameraman, and they stay 3 days. They run out of film. They stay 3 days. He wrote a trip report about his experience. He landed in Beira. He filmed the landing in Beira. He landed here in Chitengo. He came with a small plane. Start filming, and when he ran out of film, he decided, okay, time to go back to Portugal and edit. And he was kind of in awe with everything he saw. Sure. If he had stayed more days, it would be even more fantastic. Yeah. But what he has done is amazing. And I had the privilege of, when I was 6 years old, go to the movies and see. I was going to see my first movie in my life. I was 6 years old, first time in the big theater. I was going to see The Ten Commandments with Charlton Heston, filmed by Cecil B. DeMille. And there was a movie before the movie, and that movie was a documentary about Gorongosa. So suddenly I'm 6 years old, I am seeing in the large screen, all this iconic wildlife of Africa. You see lots of everything, lots of buffalo and wildebeest and elephants and lions and all sorts of antelopes, all sorts of birds, hippos. It was an amazing thing. And it stayed in my mind. So for many years, I said, well, one day I have to go to this place. And so it took some time. But finally, in 2004, I came end of 2004, beginning of 2005, I came to Mozambique as a volunteer to teach at university. And in July 2005, I bought a car and I came from Maputo, where I was teaching, to Gorongosa to see the place. And so I arrived to the main gate, and the rangers were kind of surprised to see a car. The road was in very bad conditions. There was not really a road. It was kind of old road. We could see that was not much navigated. But they let me in. I arrived to where we are now at Chitengo, and I saw a former battlefield. It was a completely destroyed camp.
So before the 1960s, where you had seen that amazing documentary, and 2005,
many things happened in Mozambique.
A lot of things happened.
What happened basically is the park was very famous in the 60s. It was visited by 20,000 people per year, basically people living in what was that called Rhodesia, coming to Beira for holidays and spending some time for safaris in Gorongosa. In 75, Mozambique became independent. In 77, a civil war started, a proxy war, between ideological war, supported by Soviet Union and China was supporting the Frelimo, the movement that got independence, and basically South Africa and Rhodesia and NATO was supporting. US was supporting the opposition, the anti-communist opposition, Renamo. So this was a very terrible, bloody civil war. 1 million people died. The camp where we are was one of the main battlefields, the headquarters here in Chitengo. It changed hands many times. Many people died here. There were mines everywhere, and basically the thousands of soldiers that were fighting here were eating meat every day. And so at the end of the war in 1992, there was not much to see. There were lots of mines, but not many else.
So when we looked at the numbers back in the heyday of the 1960s, there were thousands.
Yeah, we have everything very well documented. But basically, by heart, I can tell you, 14,000 buffalo in 1972. There was a scientist in the park called Ken Tinley. He was doing wildlife surveys during dry season and wet season, so it's very well documented. 14,000 buffalo before the war, less than 100 after the war.
Sure.
Wildebeest, 6,000 before the war, 13 after the war.
Wow.
Zebra almost gone, hippos almost gone, some species totally gone, like leopards and jackals and wild dogs and hyenas gone. Lions, this was a stronghold for lions. There was even a lion house in this place. It was an amazing camp built in 1940 that was built on the wrong place. It was built in the floodplain.
We've seen it. On the boat trip, you can see it out there.
That's the thing. Now you can imagine in 2 months you have to go by jeep, and everything is dry, and it will be packing and teeming with herbivores eating the fresh grass that will pop up as soon as the water recedes. But for 3 months, during 3 months at least, it's surrounded by water, and sometimes the water arrives to the roof. And so in the 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s, that place was taken over by lions. And so there was a big pride of lions using the bungalows and the restaurant and so on. And so the tourists were going there and watching all this thing. And we have many movies about that you can show also. So the war was over in 92, the peace was signed. In 94, 95, so the government starts doing something and basically demining. It was the first priority. It was a dangerous place. But there was no money, and so wildlife was not, the rewilding was not happening. So they didn't brought any wildlife here. And so the park by the end of the last century was kind of in a very bad condition. Not many things to be seen. No installations, no accommodations for tourism. And I have to tell the sorry. You can edit.
We can.
Oh, Gina, desculpa. Não barulho, tá bem? Sorry for that.
That's okay.
But you can cut.
Okay. You will edit.
So the place was kind of a beautiful landscape still, but empty. There was no actors. So in 2004, Greg Carr, American philanthropist, came to this place, invited by the government of Mozambique, by the former President Chissano, and he felt that he could be of help. He could really invest his wealth and his life to revive and to rewild this place.
So he was invited here invited to Mozambique by the president to say, we've got these opportunities to do some good for the people and wildlife.
Yeah, it was very fortunate for Mozambique, actually. So basically, Greg was one of those guys that in the 80s make a revolution in the world in terms of digital change. When the telephonic companies were changing from analogic to digital, he came with the best software to manage voicemail, digital voicemail, made a fortune with it, and decided to dedicate his life to philanthropy. So he offered the Carter Center for Human Rights to Harvard University, and one Mozambican student had a grant and wrote a paper about Mozambique. Greg read it, was kind of interested and curious about Mozambique. And it happens that the former president had done a speech in Harvard, and they had lunch together, and there was an invitation. And so Greg took it seriously, came to Mozambique, visited several conservation areas, but when he saw Gorongosa from the air, he said, this is it, this is the place I want to help.
Yeah, but Gorongosa wasn't even on his agenda at that point.
No. So when he came to Mozambique, he was open-minded. So I'm invited to come and do something that is related with, preserving biodiversity and creating human development. So that was basically, it was a large, wide framework. So he came in 2004, in March 2004, he starts doing some homework, and I came as a tourist here in July 2005. I saw this place totally destroyed. I've done a safari, I saw 3 animals in 3 hours. I saw a bushbuck, a baboon, a warthog. It was terrible. So very disappointed, no place to sleep, no restaurant, no potable water even. Yeah. So I returned to Maputo, and after 2 months, I received a call from a headhunter saying that there was an American gentleman that was willing to talk to me with a proposal. So I went to have breakfast with Greg Carr, and he told me that they had a project to revive Gorongosa. And I was kind of skeptic and said, well, I've been there 2 months ago. There's nothing. It's landmine still, and everything is destroyed. Lots of mosquitoes and no animals. And he said, I know, but I have a plan. I want basically to rebuild the tourism infrastructure. I want to bring back the wildlife. I want to bring back the large herbivores first, and after the carnivores that are missing. I want to bring scientists to study the biodiversity. I want to work with communities, create jobs, in agriculture, help with education, with health. So he had this huge master plan and vision in his mind, and I thought it was fantastic. I was kind of in doubt. It looked too good to be true. Yeah. But I understood that he was serious. He had the vision and he had the money. So he told me he had $36 million of his wealth for the project for the next 20 years. He was needing 5 people to start: operations, human resources, procurement, finance, and tourism development. And by then, he was inviting me to become the tourism development director. Okay. So I accept the invitation. I start working here in November 2005 in a tent, having cold showers and eating rice and beans most of the days. Lucky days with some chicken, some chorizo, but it was fun. Yeah. It was fun, and not the conditions were not the best, but it was a wild place. But at the same time, we could see the potential. There was an enormous potential here. With some dedication, with a team, with some money, we could do marvelous things. And so it started.
So when he was here and he wrote in the visitors book, this was before he met you, or just after?
Yes, before. So he came here by helicopter with members of the Mozambique government and the U.S. Embassy in 30th of March 2004. And he wrote in the guest book, this is a place that can, with some help, can become the best park in Africa. Yeah. So he had the vision. Yeah. So I met him 1 year and 5 months after that. And so I started almost immediately working here. And initially, the focus was rewilding. So we built a wildlife sanctuary with 6,000 hectares, where we started bringing buffalo, helped by Kruger. So the people from Kruger were fantastic. They were helping us to create the wildlife sanctuary and help with the first reintroductions. Initially some buffalo, after some wildebeest, some zebra, some elands, some elephants with big tusks, because the big tusks were killed here during the war. A couple of hippos to improve genetics, and after some years we start bringing what was missing in terms of carnivores. So initially wild dogs, leopards, jackals, hyena, and so we are still in this process. So we brought several, but we need to bring probably more hyena and more leopards. So this is where we are in terms of rewilding. But since the beginning, we start really focusing on human development, and so education was a priority. We understood that in this region, men are polygamous; they have 3-4 wives easily, and there is a tradition, a local tradition, that when a girl is 14, she is in the right age to get married and start having kids. And so we notice when visiting schools, primary schools around us, that if you go to we ask statistics from the school director. Okay, show me how many students you have, male, female, and from the first to the fourth grade, it was 400, boys and girls. But from the fifth grade onward, it was 400 boys, 200 girls. So we could see immediately the drop. So the girl arrived to puberty, and so that's it. So she is finished. She has now to start having kids till she dies. And we said, we need to do something, because this is also, besides, it's from the human rights point of view, it's wrong. These girls, they don't have a choice for their life. They have no idea they have choices. They can have choices. They have no idea of that. But it's also compromise the future of the park, because if demography keeps expanding like that, there will be no space for humans and wildlife. And so we start creating girls' clubs in each primary school for the more vulnerable girls, to prevent them from getting married. We put a support system with godmothers, which are basically the wise women from the local communities that can talk with the parents and say, not a good idea to marry your daughter now. You are going to receive probably a capulana, a piece of clothes and some sandals and maybe a goat for that. And if she stays in school, she can learn a trade, she can have a job, she will have a salary, she can help you when you are older. So these godmothers were very helpful. Also in each girls club we had the monitors, so people that are totally focused. So we have this thing works extra curriculum time, so extra school time, meaning if the girls have schooling in the afternoon, the girls club is in the morning, and the opposite. And it has been very successful, I would say. And after that, the boys start complaining, say, well, we just have clubs for girls. So we start creating youth clubs, environmental clubs for everyone. Even in the girls clubs, we accept boys. So there is a 20% of boys participating in girls clubs. And so
there's about, if I remember correctly, 90 odd clubs with over 3,000.
I think currently, so the numbers evolved. Currently, I think we have 120. So we clubs, have every primary school has a girls club. So it's about 4,000 girls and 1,000 boys that are in these clubs. And we have, and after creating the clubs for everyone, the teachers start complaining. Also say, well, we also should be kind of attended, and so we created teachers clubs where they are trained and they receive some support, and especially in terms of curriculum and so on. And meanwhile, many other things happen here. Basically, the civil war restarted in 2013, which was tragic. Suddenly we have to kind of close the park for tourism because it was not safe anymore. All the embassies were saying no-go zone in Sofala. Many people who were coming from South Africa driving all the way up here, and they had to stop because after the Save River there was only military convoys and it was dangerous. And so it was a tough period. Unfortunately, there was, international movement to finish this war. In 2019, the peace agreement was signed. The cessation of hostilities was signed here in Gorongosa between the president of Mozambique and the leader of the opposition, Renamo. And this started a process called DDR. So it's kind of basically disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration. And we start helping with the reintegration, with DR, so bringing back the former guerrillas to the civil society. So we created peace clubs. And so they start, having notions of literacy and numeracy and so on. So we are kind of bringing them together, and for them and for their families.
Because these young men effectively didn't know anything else other than
they never
AK-47 and
exactly. They were very skilled, in military techniques, but not really on the civil society. So this is one of the things the park helped a lot. It became a park for peace, which is important. We need peace if you want to create development, and I can tell you more about what happened here. Besides the rewilding, I would say is a success. Now we have more than 100,000, 10,000 big animals. We do surveys every 2 years, and so we pretty much know what we have. We have a fantastic biodiversity laboratory where we know more than 8,000 different species.
Jeez.
You name it, from mammals to plants to invertebrates. We know what we have. Everything is documented. We have lots of scientists working here. We have agreements with more than 70 universities all over the world. We have nice installations for scientists here. They can come and do their research for their PhDs or for their masters. So there is a ongoing flow of science coming here, studying everything, the things that we can see with the naked eye to the big things like the elephants. So we have lots of interesting. There is also a very interesting project here, the Paleo Primate Project. So we have researchers looking at the primates we have now, especially the baboons, trying to understand how they evolved in this area, giving a clue about our own human evolution in this place. And we have expeditions to find fossils from the Miocene every year, and they found amazing stuff. So there is one of the labs in our biodiversity lab is the paleontological lab, and there is interesting, surprising stuff there with fossils from 5 to 20 million years, which is so we are even creating a concept of safaris in deep time, because this is, while in other countries where they have fossils, they don't have teeming wildlife. Here we have both. So we have the old fossils, very old, Miocene, 5 to 20 million, and we have a teeming wildlife here at the same time. And so we can really give to our visitors. They can see the elephants and the buffalo and the lions and the wild dogs and everything they loved, and of course the landscape. But they can also look at the expedition sites where you can see fossils, and they can kind of understand how we evolve as humans. And so it's a fascinating place in that sense. So we have everything together here. Basically, what we are facing now, the world is changing, as we know. Basically, the motto now is trade, not aid. And so we are adapting. We have been supported by some nations, by the US initially, and Norway, and Canada, and Ireland, and Netherlands. A little bit Portugal. Other institutions were very helpful also. The Global Environmental Fund, United Nations Development Program. So some still are helping us, others they are changing, and so we are adapting, and now we are creating a structure where we have 3 for-profit companies that are all the profit they will get will be to support what we do non-for-profit, like education and health. And so we have aviation business and agriculture business and tourism business, and this is where we are now. So it's very exciting. We have a couple of thousand people working here. When we started 21 years ago, there were 70 rangers, and that's it. And now we have lots of women and men and young girls and young boys working here, doing PhDs and masters all over the world. So it's fascinating to see. We are proving that it's possible to change things with commitment, with some money, with a vision. And so I'm curious to see how this all process will evolve, and how much of this we are doing here will be reproduced all over the country, because that's what we need.
Exactly. Take this model and replicate it elsewhere. And the park, the area, the story has been covered by 60 Minutes. Sir David Attenborough was here because of the incredible biodiversity. Talk us through the biodiversity aspect of Gorongosa, because it's a stunning park. It's really beautiful. So many different habitats. The wildlife is incredible. What did David Attenborough, when he was here with BBC, what did they document? What were they looking at?
So BBC came here many times. When they came, when David Attenborough was doing this Africa series, Gorongosa. So there are 6 episodes, and Gorongosa is highlighted in episode number 4 and number 6. And so because precisely it's a special place, and there's the proof that rewilding can work. Yeah. So basically it was, I think the objective was basically say, it's possible to restore something that was destroyed by humans, and it will never probably be as it was originally, but maybe it will be even better.
Yeah.
That's, honestly, I have people coming here now, and some biologists say, well, I was in this place 50 years ago, and this is better now, in the sense that before, it was very much the colonial model. It was a place for tourism, white tourists were coming, having a nice time, red wine, safaris, but you don't see locals.
Yeah.
And now this place is full of local people, and that's the amazing thing. So it's better in that sense that the wildlife kind of is almost it's not the same numbers. Of course, we have now 2,000 buffalo. Before there were 14,000, but 20 years ago there were 50.
Yeah,
and so it's rewilding is working well. We have, as we know, more than 60,000 water bucks. So there is water bucks everywhere. There are impalas everywhere. Yeah. So they are doing very well. There are lions also, lots of lions. So things are working in that sense. It's a very nice place for tourists to come and see, but they will not have the parks just for themselves. Yeah. There will be always, girls clubs doing safaris and the youth clubs doing safaris and local people visiting and being kind of taking ownership of the park and enjoying their own park, which is really important. And they know that this place at the same time, outside the park area, we have the so-called sustainable development zone where we are helping with agriculture. So, and giving employment. We have a fantastic coffee project in the mountain that was created to save the rainforest at the top of the mountain. It was under threat. And we created with this Arabica coffee that needs shade to grow, kind of a win-win situation with the local community where they have more income now with the coffee. They still can, they need the food crops. They still have the maize and the potatoes and the green beans and the bananas, but they have coffee that will give them an income extra that they were not thinking that would be possible. And the coffee is very good, actually.
It is very good.
So this is something that we will keep going. But we are not just. It's just not just coffee. The honey is amazing. We have thousands of beekeepers. It's also an interesting thing that we use the beehives as well as fences against the elephant cropping. Yes. Which is an interesting concept. We learned from other countries where it was very successful. We have lots of cashew farmers. So Mozambique was famously, during colonial times, one of the leading producers of cashew. So we are reviving this thing here. And there are other opportunities in agriculture that will hopefully Mozambique will start exporting what they can produce here. The land is very fertile. There is plenty of water. So it's just a question of doing the right things.
And Greg is still very much involved. He comes here regularly. Greg and gets his hands dirty.
This moment he is not here. He was here 2 weeks ago. He will be here in 2 weeks. Yeah. But he spends 6-7 months here. So he's totally involved. This is his life and his commitment. And he is, he promised initially $36 million. 4 years ago, on CBS 60 Minutes, he was saying, I put here more than 100 documented $1 million. And honestly, with changes with the USAID, he is putting even more than before. So the numbers are growing, and I think, he is very committed. And he also kind of created a system where even if he is not physically, because we all have to die one day, there is a trust, the Gorongosa Trust, that will take care of this project and keep helping, the non-for-profit activities that need help. There was what we aim is to have profit companies that will create sustainability for the profit for the project, but we know that. There are things. We are going to build a big hospital in Villa Gorongosa. we are not going to, it's not sustainable. Someone has to pay for it.
Yes.
So we need some help from government, from private donors to make it happen. And so there will be always a place for philanthropists that will help. We are creating preschools. So we understood that one of the dramatic things in Mozambique is there are so many national languages. Kids at home in rural areas, they speak their native language. They don't speak the official language, is Portuguese. When they go to primary school, they don't understand the concepts that are being taught to them in maths and geography and social science. They don't. So it's difficult. And there were no preschools here. So we start preschools. So 4 years old go to preschool. They learn Portuguese. They learn social skills. They are well fed. So when they go to primary school, they are different. They understand what the teacher is telling them, and we can see this is a big impact, even for their body growth. They look healthier than the kids I was seeing here before with big bellies and undernourished and so on. So this is one of the beautiful outcomes is the child education, early child education. And so there is, I'm sure we will do more interesting things because every day this place is evolving. There are new ideas coming, and we have a lot of commitment from the local people, so that we can see everybody is very proud to be part of the Gorongosa family.
I've seen that in the camps. All the staff are local Mozambicans, and they are very proud of where they are and what they're doing here. So that's tangible. You can definitely see that.
So now we just need to replicate this and this more because, Africa needs this. Africa, not just Mozambique, all over Africa. We need to create jobs. We need to give a future for the youth. Mozambique has 60% of its population under 20 years old. So it's the opposite in the other countries in the old continents. It's totally the opposite. So we need to give a future for these young people. So and now people are more educated. They have access to internet. They can see that the world they were seeing before, it's different outside. So they want to have that. And so we need to work with the government, local governments, and to create development and to create jobs and So that's the big challenge we all have. We all have to participate in this.
And over the 22 years that Greg has been involved, obviously he's had its challenges, and as you say, there's still a lot more to do. Is he happy? Is he proud of what he's been able to achieve thus far?
He is. Well, he is never satisfied. I think he is proud. I believe that. I think we all feel proud, but we also know that it's a very challenging environment, and there is lots of obstacles. And we named one, civil war was one, but we had a cyclone that was terrible, Cyclone Idai. And we have COVID, but like everyone, so there is always roadblocks, instability. There is also instability. Elections 2 years ago, there was manifestations, demonstrations in Maputo. Ideally the immigration, the customs and the immigration should be more tourism friendly. So we need to work on that to improve. We need better connections in terms of linking to airways outside Mozambique. So it has to be still difficult to come to Mozambique. It's expensive. So there is many things we need to improve. Road network around the park. So there is a lot of things that we need to do, and so there is a lot of things that we need to do for the future. But we are here trying to fight the good fight.
Yeah, amazing, perfect. Thank you so much. That was phenomenal. And we'll see all the videos and things that you're referring to in this. We'll see it throughout the chat. But thank you. Amazing. Well done.
Your pleasure.
I met with Vasco when I was in Gorongosa National Park and found that story absolutely fascinating. In the next episode, I chat to Andre from Old Ntele in Laikipia in northern Kenya.